everybody. It is the NFT Roundtable podcast by Umba Daima. Today is Tuesday, October 26th, 2022. I cannot believe it is almost November. We're almost in 2023. I'm your host, Iris Nevins. I'm speaking to Breno, who is the founder and CEO of Boto. Boto is a no-code platform that allows anyone to build and share automation. And before Boto, Breno was the head of revenue intelligence for Ripple and has been in the blockchain space since 2016. Welcome, Breno. How are you doing today?
Hi, Iris. Thank you for having me. I'm doing well. Thanks.
Awesome. Talk a bit before we go into Boto and the product itself, which I'm really excited to get into and hoping that maybe my team can use it as well. Let's talk about how you got into Web3. You are a former engineer, if I'm correct. So talk about your kind of like your professional journey and then how you found yourself in the Web3 blockchain space.
Cool. Yeah, I was always very interested in technology. So I started coding. I was very young, like 12. And then I studied mechatronics engineering, which is kind of robotics. And I guess since then, I've always been passionate about new things. So when I first heard about blockchain, I was like, oh, this is super interesting. I could see the use case, the benefits. I immediately got interested in it. So in 2016 was when I first bought crypto, Bitcoin more specifically, and in 2017 I joined Ripple. So yeah, I could see the use case. I had before that experience also in finance and trying to move money abroad for a company, and it was a nightmare with Swift. Moving money mostly to exotic currencies in Africa and Asia, and yeah, I could see the benefit. So yeah.
Okay. So what was it like working at Ripple? You were the head of revenue intelligence. What does that even mean?
I was there for 4 years. I did quite a few different roles, but my last role was head of revenue intelligence. It's basically we're doing analytics, focus on revenue metrics, on how to grow the company in terms of revenue. Focus on RippleNet side of things, not so much on XRP, more on our software product and our customers, like the business customers, banks
Hmm.
mostly.
Okay. Could you actually talk a bit about Ripple because I think you made a good point there that you didn't just work on XRP. So what is Ripple and like what is there besides this token that the SEC has been all over?
Yeah, sure. I mean, so um, Ripple has multiple business units, and big part of it, of course, is related to XRP. And the mission is to build the Internet of Value, moving value across the internet. Before crypto, Swift was the main and only way to move money internationally. So, how to disrupt that? Anyone familiar with moving money abroad is quite difficult. Takes a long time, and it's not the easiest process. So some of the business units are focused more on working with the banks and having we have our own software that not always use XRP, and sometimes it does use XRP. So it's kind of like
Got it. Got it. Okay, this is probably a conversation for another day, but I definitely need a overview of Ripple and that whole kind of situation. So you're at Ripple, you've been working there for a couple of years, you've had all these different roles. At what point did you decide to go out on your own and launch your own company?
yeah, it's so I was there. I loved working at Ripple. It was very interesting. I loved the people. It was super cool company. And in 2020, I had this idea, which became Boto. It was about, a lot of friends of mine were getting more into crypto and retail investment, and they all wanted to build bots and automation around things that they were interested at. But everyone had their different logic that they wanted to put on the bots, and most of them did not know how to code. You know, they were very good with quantitative analysis, for trading and stuff, but coding, no. And building bots is also not just the logic, it's like the whole infrastructure is complicated. So I thought like, okay, it would be great to have a platform where people can put their logic in and automate things that they want, to benefit without having to know how to code. So in 21, I saw an opportunity to do a hackathon, and that was the Chainlink hackathon. So I did that with another engineer from Repo. We won two prizes on that hackathon from Av and from Infura. And that's kind of like how the journey started. After that, I saw that there was, good feedback from the community. And then I joined an accelerator from Consensus Mesh and Protocol Labs from Filecoin. And yeah, and then 3 months later, we raised our seed fund. Well, it was crazy. It was super fast. During that time, also, I had just moved countries and my wife was pregnant. She had left her job just before COVID. So it was kind of like a very difficult decision to leave because it was just my salary. We didn't have savings. We didn't have a house, anything, so it was like, okay, you have 6 months until we can no longer pay rent. and then and everything worked out well so far. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm glad that it worked out. I definitely can relate to the kind of the precariousness of being a founder and going out on your own and not knowing, if you're going to have enough money to to make it through. So let's talk about the product. So you talked about bots. We have Discord and that we use, although we're actually about to leave Discord and switch to another platform.
cool.
And we have set up bots on Discord before. I'm not sure how my team set it up because I didn't do it, but but in the context of Discord, like um, what are some of the maybe like interesting use cases of bots that maybe go beyond what people are familiar with? Like I think
Yeah.
of like, for example, we have a bot that like like uh repost like our Twitter posts from our Twitter feed to our Discord feed. We have like a security bot that checks that helps to check people into the community and make sure that they're not, a threat or
Hmm. Hmm.
dangerous. What else is there?
Yeah, I mean, bots is a huge world, right? We focus on bots for the idea really is to automate activities on the blockchain, help you save time. We started mostly with notifications, so most of our use case are the typical bots that you're gonna see on most of the NFT servers that do sales every time there's a listings, minting bots, that kind of stuff. Like that's kind of like the bread and butter of the platform. Like a lot of our users do that. But I think I'm more excited about the bots that do actions on a blockchain. So, for example, let's say you have a rare item, a rare NFT, and you have it listed. Okay, so you list it for a certain price, but then the floor price will move, right? The price of the collection will move up or down. Um, Today, there's no easy way for you to keep that price up to date. Like if you're trading normally on a platform, you have like a stop loss or a trailing stop loss, things like that, but you don't have that. So we implemented something that will allow you to relist if the floor price goes up. So you can keep that rare item up, not selling below floor, by accident because you didn't know. So things like that. These are the kind of things that bots can do for you. Also, of
Hmm.
course, you can do Twitter to Discord, that kind of stuff in our platform. But yeah.
Very, very interesting. It actually makes me think of trading bots because my understanding is that a lot of traders nowadays, like people that used to do day trading, had to be sitting in front of a computer, like watching the screens all day or watching the charts all
Hmm.
day. And now there's bots that you can use that will kind of just alert you when certain actions happen in certain movements happen in the market. Is this something that Boto can do, or is it specific to NFTs? Like how customizable are the automations?
the bots are very customizable. We have this concept of blocks, and you can just connect them. So you could even do cross logic, like based on a Twitter, you can trade something. Right now, we don't have bots trading yet crypto. We are launching that next month. We are working on a few DeFi use cases. One of them is AV with loans, so you can top up and avoid being liquidated, that kind of stuff. But we are working on a new chains in addition to Ethereum, where we're going to be adding more crypto trading, that kind of bots. So it's definitely on our roadmap. And yeah, you really literally can do anything. If there is a block that connects to some data source, you can use that data source in your logic to trade something, right? So if you see Bitcoin prices going down, you could trade on different platforms to make sure you exit your position because you're worried. Or if Elon Musk says something, you can do that. Or or you can combine those things in one logic and say, if those three conditions are met, I want to do this or that. We also allow users to, once you create this logic, you can create a recipe and share that. So we have over 300 recipes in the platform, most of them from our users. So what I'm more curious about is to see what people create with their creativity, versus what we create. So that's why we'd had this really composable platform.
Hmm. Fascinating. So, what would you say is maybe the most exciting or interesting, some of the most interesting use cases um, that you've seen your customers do?
Yeah, I saw there was one for tracing stolen NFTs. That was a cool one. There's alerts for fake mints, that kind of stuff. Those are things that I didn't expect, so I was kind of like surprised. And we do have a few flagged recipes also that it's kind of like editor speak. But yeah, I think these were some of the interesting ones we saw. Also, a really cool use case was someone trading on ENS domains, so monitoring them, rare domains, and buying them when they're available, when they expire, that kind of stuff.
Interesting. And then in terms of pricing, it looks like you have like everything from a free tier all the way up to an $85 tier. How does the pricing work?
Yeah, most of the features are available on the free tier. There are a few things that are kind of like behind the paid version. One of them is Twitter, just because Twitter APIs for bots are a little bit limited. They control a lot, so it requires some effort from our side, to maintain and support the users, and a few other features. But most of the features are available on the free. What you're gonna hit limits are on the usage. So uh, you can have as many bots as you want because we want to incentivize people to be creative and create as many bots as you want. But if you have a bot that monitors like 1,000 things in a day, um, really high volumes in one day, you're gonna need a higher tier for that. Um, Most people, like I think 85% of our users don't need that, so it really is just for the high volume, either higher people who are really looking for opportunities on the trading side and they look at higher volumes, or people who manage collections that are very popular, so they have a lot of events going on every day.
Hmm. Okay, got it. And then what are maybe some innovations that are coming that we people will be able to do in the future, or that people aren't really kind of thinking about quite yet, but maybe thinking ahead? Like, where do you see this going? And I know you mentioned being able to trade crypto. Like, what else?
Yeah. um, we really want to. So a couple of things that we are doing. One of them is I mentioned that we have this concept of blocks, and everything in the platform is a block that gives you a new use case. So you have an OpenSea one, you have one for Aave, one for Uniswap, and a Discord block, that kind of stuff. We are testing out now as a way for people to build their own blocks. So if you know how to develop, you're going to be able to add a block to the platform. So if you have a dApp, or if you have a protocol, a small crypto project, instead of having to build all this automation, you'll be able to just build a block at Boto very easily with a few lines of code, and you're going to take advantage of everything else we have. So you're not going to have to integrate with Twitter, Discord, anything. You just create a standard block. So I think this will really help um, to provide automation to the users of new dApps or new protocols in the Web3 space. So this is one of the things I'm super excited about. And the other thing that I mentioned, trading, um, with the composability of the platform, it's very hard to predict what's going to be hot in 3 months. So we built it that way. So whatever is trendy, we can move very fast. We can move at a Web3 speed and implement things and add those features. It is super hard to say what's going to be trending in 3, 6 months, but what I'm excited about is how flexible the platform is being built and how people can share recipes as well. So I don't even know what's going to come, and then the users create something. That's the most
Mm-hmm.
exciting part for me.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, I like it. I can see how this is like kind of democratizing the
Exactly.
automation world, because now like you don't have to be a developer to be able to create these automations, and these automations can be really powerful for building your business, maybe building wealth, right, through trading, and just getting help making decisions. But then also you're bringing developers into the ecosystem to help build out the the functions and the features that are available to use. So it's like a community. It's also community driven product.
Totally. Yeah, we invested in community from day one. We have done zero marketing because we don't believe in paying for other people's data because we don't sell users' data. So we thought like be hypocrite to pay for data from other platforms. And communities has been one of the things from the beginning that we're trying to create and harness.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely community-driven content in terms of new logic and automation is one of the cores for us.
Okay, awesome. So before we wrap up, tell me a bit about your team, and how I'm sure you didn't do this all by yourself. So what does that look like, and who else is a part of this vision?
Yeah. So right now we are 8 people. We are fully remote, and although we meet virtually with VR headsets every week, I can tell more about that. The team is it's mostly engineering. So we have engineers, 4 engineers focus on developing, but we also have other engineers in operations and customer support. Um, and we have an amazing person in community, Crystal. She's our head of community. She came from WikiHow. And we have also a designer, Braden, and that's mostly in a nutshell what the team looks like. And honestly, our day to day is talking with users and building the product.
Hmm.
That's in a nutshell what we do, kind of.
Okay. Cool, cool. And I know you mentioned you just had your wife was pregnant when you were raising, so you just had a baby. How is it being a founder and a dad of a newborn?
It's crazy. It was crazy. And we are living in a country that we have no family at all from either side, so it was super hands-on. Like, I didn't take much time off as a founder. It's impossible. And my wife was just finishing an MBA as well, writing thesis, and it was crazy. But at the same time, you find a way. You always find a way, right? And I love it. We both work from home, so I get to spend a lot of time with him. Just before this podcast, I put him down to sleep, and he just like woke up once already to eat, and it's like, okay, perfect. I'm gonna manage to have 1 hour where he's sleeping. Great,
Hmm.
and but yeah, it's lovely. I love it. It's my first kid, so really enjoying it.
That's awesome. Congrats again. All right. So my last question. Let's talk about some of the wins, right? I know we've talked about the product, and I'm sure, plenty of folks in our community can definitely use this product that you've built. Um, but for the folks in our community who are founders, business owners, creators, people that are trying to build something, right?
Mhm.
I think it's always helpful to be able to hear other people's wins. So what are some of the milestones that you've hit, and some of the wins that your team has had?
Um, I think for us initially, for me was first was getting the product out, getting the first two users, honestly. Like talk to so many people was so interesting to get two people to come and use it, like
How
even for
long?
free.
How much of the product was built before you got those first two?
I mean, I engaged with them before I put the product out, and not much was built. To be honest, the first version took a couple of weeks. I was still working full time at Ripple for the first 2 months, and I and my co-founder initially as well. So it was built on evenings and weekends, uh, and yeah, and really the MVP was super lean, super lean. So these users came and it's like couldn't do much, and it's not really what they wanted to. And I was like, okay. And then they didn't really use the product, and that was the same with the
Mm-hmm.
first five, the first 10 maybe, until we started adding more features and playing around, and it really got traction when we added OpenSea. I noticed another person was doing like, and that's one of the things that someone had a GitHub repository on how to do OpenSea to Discord bot, and I was like, cool, yeah, I didn't think about that one. Let me add that, and then I added it to the platform, and then immediately people started picking it up, like out of the blue. Like I had no idea how they were finding us, and I was asking them, hey, how do you find me? Like, I spent 2 hours on Google going through Reddit things and stuff, and I found a comment about you here, and I was like, "Can you show me the comments?" Ah, I can't find it again. I was like, "Okay," and it's like crazy. That's how it really started, and we got like a few hundred users already in the first month based on that alone, and it was
Wow.
pretty cool. Seeing that was pretty cool. I think I was looking back to the numbers, got 1,000 users already in the first couple of months. Um, and then of course hitting 10,000 users was cool. And we just started the paid version recently. That's nice as well, just starting, but it's good because you know, it needs to be a sustainable business, right? It needs to make
Mhm.
money in the long term, not just with speculation of digital assets. Making money with added value to the user who's willing to pay. So I think that's it. But it was tough, and now for us, recently it's been tough because we saw stagnation of the growth of the active users, um, a reduction on NFT users, an increase on DeFi users, but NFT users were 97% of our users. So now it's down to 83% of our users, and thankfully to the other features is it's kind of like stable, but the next challenge for us is, how what's next? What's the next um, hot use case for the platform?
Mhm. Fascinating. Wow. Well, congratulations on the users, by the way. My team is actually building software right now as well that it's not on the market yet, but it will be
Oh,
soon.
cool.
So I I
Ah,
am
I want to see it.
huh?
I want to see it when it's out.
Yeah. Well, I'll definitely share. We're focused on the community building space, so we're building a tool to help teams coordinate events and hire talent for events. So, like, we do a lot of
Cool.
Twitter Spaces. We do a lot of IRL events. We do activations at conferences, and we always have to find photographers, videographers,
Hmm.
um, DJs, performers, speakers, all those types of folks, and the logistics of it all can be a lot. So, and then you have to pay everyone, collect W-9s, all these invoices, et cetera. So we are technically actually building it for ourselves, and we're going to use it internally for
Cool.
a while. And then once we feel like it's actually like use serving the purpose that we built it for, then we'll figure out how to sell it to other folks.
I that well, worst case you got benefit from using it, but often that's the kind of best products, right? The ones that you build for yourself, and then you know, it's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Nice.
It makes
Congrats.
it a lot more fun.
Awesome. Cool.
Cool. Well, thank you, Breno, for joining us today. How can folks find you and find your company?
Um, I would just say go to the website boto.io, boto.io, and join our Discord. I think that's definitely the best place to talk with us. The whole team is in Discord. We work in Discord in addition to just using for the community, so same space. So that's where you can find us.
Awesome. All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Happy Tuesday. And
Thank you.
thank you to our
Happy
listeners
Tuesday.
for joining in. We will see you next time.